rock and roll. Diesel power laser fuel, giant robot rock and roll. Diesel power laser fuel, giant robot rock and roll. Drummer played his giant kid with baseball bats and sticks. Just like Silent Hollow, pounded on them hits. Crazy robot Billy music, always give me fits they play. Giant robot rock and roll, giant robot rock and roll. Taking over Tokyo, giant robot rock and roll. Diesel power laser fuel, giant robot rock and roll. Diesel power laser fuel, giant robot rock and roll. Giant robot rock and roll, giant robot rock and roll. Giant robot rock and roll, giant robot rock and roll. Giant robot rock and roll, giant robot rock and roll. Giant robot rock and roll, giant robot rock and roll.
Unabomber, we salute Why don't you go to Mr. Beef? Ladies and gentlemen, that was our very special guest, the Goblins. #1 cup. This
How you doing, dude?
All right.
Good.
I'm filming everyone.
And it's fun on the shores of Lake Michigan. Kids are dancing and having fun. Riot and scandal and shame. We kept dancing just the same. Chic-A-Go-Go. And it's fun.
All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome to the first episode of Chic-A-Go-Go, the newest. It's the newest, newest dance show on TV. I'm Miss Joy. And today, our special guests are some of the hottest acts in Chicago right now. We have tonight the Three Blue Teardrops and the Lone Ranger.
Man, Miss Joy?
Yeah,
This show is gonna rock.
that's right, Ratso.
I love dancing.
Me too. Let's get started right away then. Hey. And now it's a very special honor to introduce one of the South Side's blues legends, here to sing a song off of his latest record. Let's give a big Chic-A-Go-Go welcome to the Lone Ranger.
Whoa! I want to rock me. Rock me all night long. I want to rock me, babe. Rock me all night long. I want you to rock me like my back ain't got no bone. Circle around us all. Throw your arms around me like a circle around us all. I want you to call me daddy. Let me lay down in your arms. Coming, run and get your rocket shell. When you see me coming, run and get your rocket shell. I want you to rock me. Rock me on away from here. Sun going down, down in your neighborhood. Sun going down, down in your neighborhood.
man. The studio is smoking. That was fabulous. Now, I want you all to know the Lone Ranger is not only a legend in his own right, but he is a former friend or a current friend of a legend as well. Who, right, Muddy Waters?
Right.
And can you tell us how you knew him?
Well, when I came from Denver, Colorado, I was raised there. And so when I came in Chicago about in the 50s, and I met up with Muddy Waters that Saturday night. But I didn't know he was Muddy Waters until I got there. Huh. All the blues were, some friends took me there that I, came in with. Hey, Lone Ranger, let's go see Muddy Waters. I said, okay. I went, and the first song I learned with his song, I want to make love to me. That's the first song I learned on his show. And I've been singing that song for quite a while. On down the road, I started singing another song, Rock Me, I'm a Man, You Shook Me, Two Train Running, 19 years old, I Want You to Love Me. In the Rainbow, that's when I met McKinley Mitchell. And so I've been singing blues ever since. But remember one thing, I began the Lone Ranger when I was 22 years old. I am the Lone Ranger.
You heard it here.
And Silver is with me up in Chicago, a different horse, but I bought one in Chicago here.
How about Tonto?
Oh, yeah, Tonto lives in Pembroke, Illinois.
All right. Hey, Lone Ranger, thanks a lot. This is his record on Rocktober Records. Lone Ranger now. Hey, before you ride off into the sunset, you got to stay and dance the last song with us. I hope you'll come on up here and dance with us some more, Lone Ranger. Thanks a lot.
Noch nicht auf Schallplatte ist eine Produktion, die eigens für Beat Club angefertigt wurde und noch nirgendwo anders im Moment zu hören ist.
traumatized, he underwent 9 operations.
I went around looking for a miracle to make me whole again.
The doctors said he'd never walk again, but after 39 months, he proved them wrong.
He persevered, he never gave up, fought his way back from total paralysis.
Like many Americans, his life experience and values serve as a strong moral compass. The principle of work to replace welfare, the principle of accountability to strengthen our criminal justice system, the principle of discipline to end wasteful Washington spending.
It all comes down to values. What you believe in, what you sacrifice for, and what you stand for.
The wagons are coming! The wagons are coming!
The rush is on to the new Southwest Territory at Six Flags Great America. It's a frontier full of Western-style fun. Go wild on great new rides. Step back into the Wild West and experience the thrills and action of the all-new Warner Brothers Western Stunt Show. So get up and go to Southwest Territory for an all-new brand of fun. It's only at Six Flags Great America. So big, so fast, so close.
Today on the Channel 5 News at 5.
They've spent nearly 20 years in prison for a crime they say they didn't commit. Today, 4 convicts hear whether they'll be released from prison, a Unit 5 report.
Today on the Channel 5 News at 5. Committed to Chicago.
Let's show them how a championship town celebrates. Safely.
Good morning. It's all over and no blood was shed. After the longest armed siege in modern U.S. history, the 16 remaining members of the Freemen surrendered to the FBI in Montana. 14 of them were jailed and are being held for arraignment today, Friday, June the 14th, 1996.
From NBC News, this is Today with Bryant Gumbel and Katie Couric, live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
And welcome to Today on this Friday morning. I'm Katie Couric.
And I'm Matt Lauer. Brian enjoying one more day of vacation, should be back Monday. We've been talking about this siege for a long time, and at least now we can say it did end peacefully.
That's true. That's a very good point, Matt. We're going to get right to our top story. In fact, the Freemen surrender. NBC's David Bloom is in Jordan, Montana this morning. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Katie. As you just said, this was the longest running siege in modern American history, longer than Waco, longer than Wounded Knee, and to the credit of the FBI, it ended last night without any bloodshed. Arriving in Billings, Montana overnight, the 14 Freemen who faced state and federal charges were booked into the Yellowstone County Jail. Federal prosecutors were emphatic. There was no deal, there were no charges dropped. The anti-government white supremacists who held out for 81 days will now be tried for, among other things, writing bad checks and threatening to kill a judge. Late Thursday, with the Freemen surrender imminent, FBI agents donned flak jackets and a convoy of federal vehicles rolled toward the Freemen compound. From the remote ranch came a motorhome and other vehicles down a winding road toward a neutral point where the surrender would take place. Then the dramatic moment the FBI had waited patiently for. All 16 Freemen surrendered and were loaded into 2 passenger vans for the 175-mile drive to Billings. The Freemen appeared in good spirits and good health, laughing with federal agents, reading scripture in a van bound for jail. Last night, FBI Director Louis Freeh hailed the peaceful end to this tense standoff as proof that the FBI had learned its lessons from the tragic 1993 assault on the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas.
I know some criticized us for waiting too long and not attempting a tactical solution. In my view, given the situation, the prudent thing was to put patience above the risk of bloodshed.
Freeh said the FBI's decision 2 weeks ago to up the pressure by cutting off electricity and moving in armored vehicles was a critical factor in ending the siege. With the Freemen gone, there was only one final thing for the FBI to do. A lone agent scaled an abandoned lookout post and pulled down the Confederate flag the Freemen had hoisted only hours before their surrender. And so now the Freemen, who declared themselves a sovereign nation, said they rejected U.S. law, find themselves very much in the midst of the American judicial system. Katie?
David, in fact, what is next in the legal process and why were only 14 of the 16 Freemen charged?
Some of them will be in court later today, we expect, in Billings, Montana. The reason why 2 of the wives of the Freeman leaders were not charged, according to the U.S. Attorney in Billings, Montana, is because they could not charge them with any crimes. They couldn't prove that they obstructed justice, wrote bogus checks, engaged in terrorism, threatened a judge, etc. That's why only 14 of the 16 Freemen who surrendered yesterday will face charges. Katie?
Much David Bloom in Jordan, Montana this morning. With us now is Director of the FBI, Louis Freeh. He's at the FBI's Training Center in Quantico, Virginia. Director Freeh, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. No deal whatsoever was struck with the Freemen that facilitated the end to this?
That's correct. No deal. The only considerations we agreed specifically were to consider the health of 2 of the elderly defendants for purposes of bond. We do that with any defendant. And that their materials, the evidence they wanted to preserve, would be turned over to a neutral party where both they and the government could get access to it. Other than that, no other agreements.
Let's talk about this evidence, Director Freeh, if we could, that was piled into the Ryder truck. What kind of evidence was it? Because I know that was one of the stipulations of the surrender, that that evidence, as you say, be preserved.
Actually, Katie, we don't quite know yet. We haven't seen it. It's currently in the custody of Senator Oz, who's been, as you know, our third-party intermediary. From descriptions by some of the third parties who have gone in there, they include documents, things which they want to bring to the attention of the people and the court, but specifically, we just don't know at this time.
They have insisted that they want to present this evidence before a grand jury, something that no defendants in this country are permitted to do. Will they be able to do that?
Well, actually, defendants are able to present evidence to a grand jury. They can certainly testify. They can offer documents to the Assistant U.S. Attorney for presentation. So there is an opportunity to present that. They certainly can present any relevant evidence at a hearing or a trial, and I expect they will try to do that.
You say the decision to cut off power was a critical factor in ending this. That was done on June 3rd. What other factors contributed to their surrender, in your view?
I think it was really the process that was followed over 81 days, a process where the men and women of the FBI, the outside negotiators and third parties, the Attorney General's leadership really managed to apply a very delicate balance of pressure from tactical operations and a very continuous negotiating strategy. And applying that in a balanced fashion, I think, brought around the successful result.
You've said your goal was, quote, patience above bloodshed. Of course, you succeeded in that, but how much did this cost financially? I mean, how much did sort of time, resources, and money did federal agencies put into this siege?
It's hard to estimate. I'm sure we spent a lot of money, but I think the money was well spent. We didn't really calculate the cost as a decision-making factor. As you know, we lost the life of a special agent out there. We can't certainly put a price on that for us and his family. Our main goal, really separate and apart from any cost, was a successful and safe resolution where we could enforce the law but do it without harming anybody or the very brave agents who were out there on the scene.
Are you at all concerned that this softer approach may encourage other militia groups or white supremacists to, in essence, hold the federal government hostage? After all, that's basically what this group did for 2.5 months.
I think it's a good question. I don't think so. My view of it is that the message that comes out of this is very clear to everybody. If you break the law, the United States government will enforce the law. It will do it fairly, but firmly. Nobody got any deals on any charges. The law was enforced in Montana. The FBI was not going to go away. We stayed there until we arrested them. And I think that's a pretty strong message to send to anybody who would break the law.
Finally, Director Freeh, as you know, the FBI has been in the news over the Clinton administration's request for several hundred classified FBI files. Do you think the request was, as the president has said, an innocent mistake, or were they compiling some sort of enemies list that might eventually be used in the campaign?
My general counsel is going to present the report today, which will be made public. It will be given to the Congress, the Attorney General, the independent counsel, and I think I'll let that speak for itself.
All right, FBI Director Louis Freeh. Mr. Freeh, thanks so much for talking with us this morning.
Thank you, Katie.
And we'll catch up on the rest of the morning's news in just a moment. Then later in this half hour, we'll find out about the new guidelines the government has drawn up to help prevent more black churches from burning. Matt?
And former Secretary of State James Baker will be along in a few minutes to help us look ahead at Sunday's crucial presidential elections in Russia. We'll also find out which cell phone service might be best for you, and we'll talk to Ben Stiller. He's the director of The Cable Guy, which, by the way, opens tonight.
Also, we've got the final part of our series, How to Talk to Kids About Serious Subjects, this morning about death and losing a loved one. Kathy Ireland will be along with some fitness advice, and we'll close out the morning with another of our outdoor concert series, legendary rocker Jerry Lee Lewis. Matt, something tells me there's going to be a whole lot of shaking going on outside our window.
Great balls of fire.
But first, let's head to the news desk, and for that, we turn to Dateline NBC. Sarah James. Sarah, good morning.
Good morning, Katie and Matt, and good morning, everyone. Those on Capitol Hill are adding their voices to the chorus of outrage at the wave of arson against black churches in the South. On a voice vote, the House has adopted a resolution identifying the fires as hate crimes, crimes against the First Amendment and other civil rights. President Clinton is already on record calling for strong measures against the attacks. NBC's Jim Miklaszewski joins us now from the White House with more. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Sarah. Unfortunately, despite all that attention from Washington, or maybe because of it, black churches continue to burn.
There was still one more prayer service for one more black church destroyed by fire. This one, the First Missionary Baptist Church in Enid, Oklahoma.
Whoever did it, that person has to live with his own conscience.